This is the story of Gauranga as narrated by Swami Shivananda in his book Lives of Saints. Lives of Saints written by Swami Shivananda. Pandit Jagannath Mishra, alias Purandara Mishra, the father who was settled at Navadvip, West Bengal, situated on the river Ganga, 75 miles north of Calcutta. And Gauranga's mother's name was Sachi Devi, daughter of the scholar Neelambar Chakravarti, a pious lady. And a son was born to Jagannath Mishra and Sachi on the night of the full moon on 4th February 1486 AD at Navadvip. The new child was named Vishwambar. He was the 10th child. The first 8 all daughters died soon after birth. The ninth was Vishwarup, a son. He abandoned the world at 16 when he was being forced to marry and entered a monastery in South India. The women, thinking that Sachi had lost so many children and very apprehensive of losing the 10th child, named him Nimai, derived from the name of neem tree, bitter name. That was a superstition. They believed that giving him the name of Nimai or neem tree, Vapa, bitterness, that will be a protection against all evil influences. The neighbors called him Gaurhari or Gauranga, fair complexioned, because of his marvelous beauty. Gaur means fair and Anga means body. Gaurhari. And they used to call him Gaurhari because he was so fond of the name Hari that nothing could soothe him. When he was a child, when he cried and created a tantrum, the moment the name Hari was uttered, he used to become very calm. Gauranga studied logic at the school of Vasudeva Sarvabhauma, a reputed professor. There was another, the extraordinary intellect of Gauranga attracted the attention of Raghunath, an author of the famous book on logic called Didhiti. Didhiti, Didheeti. Raghunath was a very ambitious person. He wrote a book, a famous book called Didhiti on logic. And he was very ambitious. He was keen to be recognized the world over as the ultimate authority on logic. But he came to know that Gauranga also was writing a commentary on Nyaya. And he finished writing that. So Raghunath wanted to see the commentary of Gauranga. And one day they were crossing the river by boat, Gauranga and Raghunath. And on Raghunath's request, Gauranga read out the commentary. Raghunath was stunned because of the clarity and the originality of the commentary. And he began to weep. Gauranga asked him why. Raghunath said, I had a great ambition that I would be known the world over as the greatest professor of Nyaya. With this book that you have written, I have no chance of being recognized as such. Immediately, Gauranga also burst into tears. He was also weeping. And he said, is that all? Don't worry. And he threw his manuscript into the river immediately. And from that moment, he gave up the study of Nyaya Shastra. That was the magnanimity of Gauranga. Gauranga's Nyaya was lost to the world, and Didhiti of Raghunath became the first authority on Nyaya. Gauranga mastered Sanskrit and all other branches such as grammar, all the Vedangas, grammar, logic, literature, rhetoric, philosophy, theology, and he developed extraordinary skills and talents and knowledge, a genius. He started a toll, T-O-L, toll, or a place of learning when he was just 16 years old. And when Gauranga was still a student, his father died, and Gauranga subsequently married Lakshmi, the daughter of Vallabhacharya. He excelled at all the Shastra Arthas and scriptural debates and defeated several reputed scholars. He made a tour of Bengal, and but unfortunately, on his return, he learnt that his wife died of a snake bite. Subsequently, he married Vishnu Priya, and then he continued teaching students, and his fame became well known all over. A turning point in Gauranga's life, in 1509, he went to Gaya on a pilgrimage. Here he met Ishwar Puri, a sannyasin of the order of Madhvacharya, and took him as his guru. And a marvelous change that came upon him was he became a devotee of Lord Krishna, and his pride of learning entirely vanished. He started chanting Krishna Krishna Haribol, Haribol, laughed and wept and jumped and danced in ecstasy, fell on the ground and rolled in the dust, and he was always lost in trance, and in that ecstatic mood he hardly ever ate or drank. Gauranga proceeded to witness the footprints of Lord Krishna in the Gadadhara temple. He stood before the footprint motionless as a statue, absorbed in meditation, tears gushing out of his eyes in a continuous stream. He was absorbed in enjoying the nectar of Krishna Prema Rasa. Ishwara Puri then gave Gauranga the 10-lettered mantra of Lord Krishna. Nitai, alias Nityananda, was a Brahmin by birth, and he took the ascetic life at the age of 12, and he was also a great devotee of Krishna, and he was residing at Vrindavan for some time. Gauranga took Nityananda to his own house and introduced him to his mother. And he told her, "Mother, here is another son of yours. He is my elder brother. The lost Vishwaroop has come back to you. Take him as your Vishwaroop." Sachi said to Natai, "Child, take care of your younger brother. Protect him. He is careless and thoughtless. Now I need not be anxious about him. Take your food and be happy." Nityananda conducted Sankirtan in various places. Navadvip resounded with Harinama. Nitai spent whole nights in singing the praises of Radha and Krishna. Gauranga was an embodiment of love. His speech was full of love. He radiated love. His touch was a magnetism of love. He sang in love, breathed in love, walked in love. And he showed by practice how God should be loved. He taught little by precept, but more by example. If he simply uttered one word, you will be blessed with bhakti. It was quite sufficient to throw a man into samadhi and fill his heart with prem. Such was Gauranga's power. When Gauranga passed along the streets and roads, his powerful prem current, the aura, the current, the vibration, powerful prem current, influenced and overpowered thousands. And they irresistibly chanted Haribol, Haribol, and danced in ecstasy. At the age of 24, Gauranga got himself initiated by Swami Keshav Bharati under the name of Krishna Chaitanya. Krishna Chaitanya, shortened into Chaitanya. His mother, Sachi, was heartbroken. So he took up sannyasa at the age of 24. He was very strict in observing the rules of sannyasa, and he declined to grant an interview to Raja Prataprudra of Orissa, because it was a great sin for a sannyasi to see a king, and it is sinful to look at a woman. And if a sannyasi sees a Raja or a king, gradually he will be attached to the Raja. And as the mind has the habit of imitating, the sannyasi will also begin to lead a life of luxury and downfall eventually. That's why a sannyasin is prohibited from seeing a Raja. Gauranga never saw a woman in the face. He did not allow any woman to approach him. He slept on the ground and with a bare body. And Gauranga was an extraordinary Vaishnavite preacher, disseminating the doctrines and principles of Vaishnavism. And Nityananda, Sanatan, Rupa, Swarup, Damodar, Advaita Acharya, Srivas, Haridas, Murari, Gadadhar, and others helped Chaitanya in his mission. Conversion of Jagai and Madhai. The Jagai and Madhai, they were the worst criminals, reprobates, incorrigible criminals actually, sinners. These brothers, Jagai and Madhai, they were the Kotwals of Navadvip. They plundered the rich, outraged the modesty of women, committed murders on the slightest provocation. There was no heinous crime on earth which these brothers had not committed. Though they were Brahmins by caste, they were inveterate drunkards. Chaitanya and Nitai undertook the serious task of reclaiming the two brothers. Chaitanya proposed to the devotees that they should go to the tent of Jagai and Madhai doing kirtan all the way, and then give Harinam to them. Madhai pelted Nitai with the broken neck of an earthen jar and inflicted a gaping wound in his forehead. When Nitai went and told him to chant Harinam, blood gushed from the wound. Nitai pressed the wound with both the hands to stop the gush. Madhai picked up another piece of the same jar and wanted to throw it on the head of Nitai again. Jagai caught hold of Madhai's arm and demonstrated, "Hold, Madhai, you are very cruel. What is the merit of killing a sannyasi? It will do you no good." News was conveyed to Gauranga, who was behind in the Kirtan party. When the Jagai and Madhai were killing Nitai, Gauranga rushed to the spot and he took his own cloth and wrapped it around the forehead of Nitai to stop the bleeding. He then embraced Jagai for the good he had rendered to Nitai by checking Madhai from attacking again. Jagai fell down. He embraced Jagai and Jagai fell down in a state of trance. Madhai was in a state of despair. He lost all his power of speech. He prostrated at the feet of Gauranga. "O Lord, I am a great sinner. Have mercy on me." Gauranga asked Madhai to go to Nitai and seek his pardon. Madhai apologized and Nitai pardoned and embraced him. Madhai also fell down in a state of trance. And afterwards, these two brothers became extraordinarily devoted and very truly holy saints. They atoned for their past misdeeds by going over on their knees in utter humility before everybody who went to the river for bathing, and by doing so, and doing for them all sorts of menial services. And they created a bathing ghat, which is still known today in Navadvip as Madhai's Ghat. There was an incident about a washerman. Gauranga went to the washerman who was washing clothes, and the washerman thought these mendicants had come to beg. He said to Gauranga, "I am very poor, I have nothing to give you." Gauranga said, "I don't want anything, just say Haribol." The washerman refused. He thought that he would be required to pay something. "I cannot give up washing clothes and all that and utter this name." Gauranga said, "Okay, I'll do the beating of the cloth. I'll do the washing. Just say Haribol. Please say Haribol." The washerman said Haribol, and Gauranga asked him to repeat the name twice. Haribol, Haribol. And then the fire of devotion seized the man. And the washerman started dancing with both hands raised high, and he was lost in the trance of Haribol. His wife noticed this and she was so scared. She ran to the village and told everyone that a ghost has taken possession of her husband. And then all of them rushed to that place. The washerman was still dancing in ecstasy. At last, a strong man caught hold of the washerman and tried to stop the dancing. And then he too caught the contagion and began to dance with the washerman, chanting loudly, Haribol, Haribol. And then the whole village was dancing uncontrollably in ecstasy, chanting the name of Krishna. Haribol, Haribol. Chaitanya, along with his friend Nityananda, went to Orissa doing Sankirtan. He stayed at Puri for some time, visited Tirupati, Kanchipuram, Srirangam, and Madurai, Rameshwaram, Kanyakumari, Udupi, Pandharpur, Nashik, Brindavan. He bathed in the Yamuna and several sacred pools and visited the various shrines for worship. And at last, Gauranga returned to Puri and settled there. He spent his remaining days at Puri only. A miracle at Puri, once during the car festival, the car of Lord Jagannath did not move. Everyone, all the pilgrims used all their strength. Gigantic elephants of the Raja of Puri could not move the car. Everyone was stunned and they didn't know what to do. Gauranga came. He just pushed the car by his head and the car moved at once. Then the chanting of Hari Bol rent the air. Conversion of Sarvabhauma. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was a great Vedantic scholar, and once Chaitanya, when he was in the temple at Jagannath, he was so ecstatic he rushed to embrace the image but fell down in a swoon. The guard was about to thrash Gauranga, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who happened to be there, the minister of King Prataprudra, he took Chaitanya to his house, and his students, Gauranga's students, carried him. And when they uttered loudly the name of Hari, Gauranga came back to consciousness. And Sarvabhauma felt that Gauranga had no control of passion and absolutely no knowledge of Vedanta. And he had no interest in this kirtan and dancing and nritya and all that. He felt that Gauranga should be reinitiated into Vedantic study. And Gauranga humbly listened to Sarvabhauma for many days. So Sarvabhauma expounded the following verse in 9 different ways. And Chaitanya was a master of Sanskrit. And he expounded the same verse in 61 different ways. Sarvabhauma was flabbergasted. He was shell-shocked. The verse actually runs like this. Atmaramascha munayo nigrantapi urukrame. Atmaramascha munayo nigrantapi urukrame kurvanti ahaitukim bhaktim itam bhuta gunohari. Kurvanti ahaitukam bhakti itam bhuta gunohari. Hari's qualities are so charming that the Atmarama yogis, though they are nigranthas, nigrantapi urukrame, that is outside the influence of illusion or shastric injunctions, become contemplative and are attracted by the same into adoring the Urukrama Hari with selfless love and devotion. Sarvabhauma had neither devotion nor realization. He was only a dry, pedantic scholar. Gauranga was a great scholar and yet he was humble. Gauranga never indulged in any talk that would be calculated to wound the feelings of others. Gauranga eventually converted Sarvabhauma to his faith and exposed the shallowness of his arguments one by one. Gauranga embraced Sarvabhauma and Sarvabhauma fainted in an ecstasy of divine joy. And he then rose and started dancing and prostrated at the feet of Gauranga and accepted him as his master. He said, logic made my heart as hard as iron. I had no devotion. Thou hast melted me, O powerful Lord. Gauranga converted all leaders of Advaita and the heads of Vaishnavas who came under the fold. Prakashananda, the Advaita Acharya of Varanasi, also converted. Healing a leper. Vasudeva was a humble, pious and good-natured Brahmin, but he suffered from leprosy. And he had to live apart from friends and relatives because of the abominable stench emitted by his body. He used to pick up the maggots that dropped from his sores and put them back in their place, because he was a man of such extraordinary compassion that he believed that all living creatures had a right to life and he had no right to deprive them, these maggots, of their natural food. Now Vasudeva lived in the vicinity of the temple of Kurma at Jagannath. At night he heard of Chaitanya's arrival in the temple of Kurma. Next morning he proceeded to the temple to see him. He learnt that the master had left the place half an hour earlier. On hearing this, he fell down in a faint from disappointment and sorrow and exclaimed, O Lord Krishna, why have you forsaken me? Chaitanya, who was then passing along the road, heard the cry of Vasudeva and ran towards the temple. He lifted the leper in his arms and embraced him. And lo, leprosy disappeared and his body became sound and beautiful. Another miracle happened at the residence of a Pandit whose name was Sribas. And while the chanting was going on, Sribas's child, his son, was dying, and he was informed, and he went inside the house. The chanting was going on outside in the front yard. So he told his wife not to cry loudly, that would disturb the kirtan, because Lord Chaitanya is dancing. Subsequently, Chaitanya also came to know, and the kirtan continued. Srivas was dancing in the kirtan, he was not affected. But later, when Chaitanya came to know, the kirtan was stopped, and Chaitanya exclaimed, hmm, Gauranga also stopped the kirtan. How is it that I don't experience much joy today? And then Chaitanya came to know about it. He demanded the body of the child to be brought before him. And Chaitanya addressed the dead child and commanded him to speak. The boy spoke. The dead body of the boy spoke and said, I am leaving this body for a better existence, O Lord. May my soul cling to thy lotus feet. The soul again left the body of the child. Gauranga then told Srivas and his wife, Malini, that I and Nityananda will take the place of your departed son. Be not troubled. It is also said that Chaitanya showed his form with 6 hands to Sarvabhauma, Ramananda Ray and Nitai. The first 2 hands, he was holding a bow and an arrow. The second 2 with a flute in the act of playing upon it. And the last 2 with a danda and a kamandalu. By this manifestation, Chaitanya made Nitai understand that he was Rama as well as Krishna. Jumping into the sea. When Gauranga was in a fit of devotional ecstasy, he jumped into the sea at Puri because it was blue in color. He imagined that the blue sea was Yamuna. He wanted to join in the frolics of the gopis at Vrindavan, and emaciated that his body was, owing to the constant fasts and vigils, it floated on the water. And finally, he was missing. Later, he was found. He was caught in the net of a fisherman. It was night, and the fisherman was happy that the net was heavy. He thought that he got a big fish. He dragged the net. He found in the net a human corpse instead of a big fish. Disappointed, he noticed that the corpse was making a faint sound. He thought it was a ghost and he was terribly scared. He slowly walked along the shore with trembling feet. Swarupa and Ramananda, who were searching for their master, met the fisherman, and Swarupa asked him if he had seen Gauranga Deva anywhere. So the fisherman narrated the story. And they sang the name of Hari, and Gauranga came back to consciousness. His last words were, Gauranga said, listen Swarupa and Ramananda Raj, the chanting of Krishna's name is the chief means of attaining Krishna's fate in Kali Yuga. Sankirtan of the name is the supreme healer in Kali Yuga. Sankirtan is equivalent, commensurate, tantamount with Vedic sacrifice. Sankirtan is tantamount with Vedic sacrifice. Sankirtan destroys sins and purifies the heart and instills bhakti. Chant the name while sitting, standing, walking, eating, in bed, anywhere and everywhere. The name is omnipotent. Anytime, any place, you can repeat the name. Chant the name. Gauranga passed away on 14th June 1533. Lord Gauranga recited the following sloka. O Lord, I ask not for wealth or followers or for poetic genius. May my motiveless devotion to Thee continue in me whenever I take birth. Cheto darpanam arjanam bhava mahadavagni nirvapanam shreyah kairava chandrika vitaranam vidyavadhu jivanam anandambudi vardhanam pratipadam purnamrita swadanam sarvatama sarvatma sarvatmas napanam parama vijayati Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. Glorified above all is the chanting of the various names of Krishna, which cleanses the mirror of the mind, the chitta. which extinguishes the great forest fire of the succession of births and deaths, which operates like the moonbeam upon the white lily of spiritual well-being, which is the elixir of life of the bride Vidya, which makes the ocean of bliss swell, which gives the chanter the fullest enjoyment of the divine love at the utterance of each word, and which bathes the mind and the senses in living bliss.